Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally demystifying LLM tokens and taking a deep dive into the inner workings of large language models. We're going to uncover how they actually process information, generate text, and crucially, how they rack up your API costs. If you've ever built an AI application and wondered what is actually happening inside that black box, you are absolutely in the right place.
Let's just jump right in by defining our absolute most crucial term, the token. Tokens are essentially the fundamental currency powering every single LLM you build with. When you send text to an AI, you might assume it's reading words just like we do. But just like a computer only speaks in binary ones and zeros, an AI model only speaks in numerical tokens. To make sense of all this, we're going to follow a pretty clear roadmap. We'll start with what tokens actually are, dive inside the transformer architecture, see why token vocabularies matter, figure out who really needs to know this stuff, and finally, look at exactly how LLMs generate their output.
All right, part 1. What are LLM tokens? Let's take a macro view and figure out exactly what these things are and why they dictate your API bill.
Here is a really wild mystery for you. Why is it that when you send a simple two-word phrase like "Hello World" to an LLM, the cost to you is completely different depending on the provider? Seriously, in one test, querying Claude 3.5 consumed 11 input tokens for that exact phrase, but querying Google's Gemini model only used 4. So why does this massive discrepancy even exist?
Well, it comes down to the fact that models don't actually read words like we do. They chop your prompt up into little chunks. Sometimes it's full words, sometimes syllables, sometimes literally just characters. Then they convert them into a sequence of numbers. This translation process is called tokenization. Every model provider has its own unique dictionary or vocabulary that decides exactly how to slice up your text. And remember, you are billed by the token, not by the word.
This also perfectly explains why output tokens cost you way more money than input tokens. Reading your prompt, the input, is actually pretty fast, but generating new text back to you, that requires serious computational heavy lifting from the model. It has to predict and generate every single sequence step by step, which is exactly why providers charge a premium for output traffic.
Moving on to part 2, inside the transformer architecture. Let's see how this builds into the revolutionary framework pioneered by Google back in 2017, which acts as the beating heart for modern models like GPT.
The millisecond you hit send, the way an LLM thinks happens in 4 very clear, sequential steps under the hood. We've got tokenization down, so let's look at what happens immediately after. Vector embeddings.
After breaking your text into numerical tokens, the model maps them out as vector embeddings inside a multidimensional space. Basically, think of it like a massive 3D graph. The model learns that if you plot the word cat, its direction and distance to the word milk is mathematically similar to the distance between dog and pedigree. It literally captures the semantic meaning of the real world, using math.
To put that into perspective, if you use OpenAI's small embedding model, a single concept is mapped across 1,536 different dimensions. That means 1,536 coordinates are used just to nail down the precise meaning of one tiny chunk of text, ensuring it doesn't lose any of its real-world relationships.
Next up is positional encoding. Think about the sentences, "The dog chased the cat," and "The cat chased the dog." They use the exact same tokens, right? If we just threw those tokens into a blender, the model wouldn't have a clue who was chasing who. Positional encoding adds mathematical tweaks to the embeddings so the model instantly understands their totally different meanings, based purely on word order. And finally, we hit self-attention. Before transformers, older models lost context really easily. But with self-attention, tokens are literally allowed to talk to each other and adjust their coordinates. So if the model sees the word bank next to river, it shifts the vector to mean the muddy edge of some water. But if it sees bank next to ICICI, it shifts the embedding to represent a financial institution. This incredible context awareness is the absolute magic of the transformer.
All right, part 3, why token vocabularies matter. Now that we know how the pipeline actually works, let's zoom back out to understand why token vocabularies vary so wildly and why that dramatically impacts your wallet.
So every LLM has its own unique dictionary of words and subwords. If a model has a tiny vocabulary, it might process text character by character. In that case, cat sat mat equals 11 characters, so that's 11 tokens. But modern models use subword-level tokenizers with massive vocabularies, up to 200,000 mappings. They recognize common chunks, like CAT, as a single piece. Ultimately, a larger vocabulary groups more characters together, meaning it requires way fewer tokens to process the exact same sentence.
The big takeaway here? Unusual words will literally cost you more money. If a word rarely showed up in the model's training data, it won't get its own single token. It gets chopped up into multiple, smaller tokens. This means if you prompt an API with an obscure programming language like Haskell, it's going to eat up significantly more of your token budget than if you just use something super popular like JavaScript.
Which brings us to part 4. Who is this for? You might be sitting there wondering who actually needs to care about matrix multiplications and subword vocabularies.
The truth is, if you're a software engineer, an app developer, or a system architect, you aren't the one writing the hardcore math. But understanding this underlying pipeline is a total superpower. It helps you understand why using prompt caching reduces token counts, it helps you write tighter prompts to avoid uncommon phrasing, and it allows you to massively optimize your API budgets at scale.
Finally, part 5, how LLMs generate output. Let's jump to the end to see exactly how these models take all that beautifully processed context and actually type a response back to you.
First off, we have to separate the training phase from the inferencing phase. During training, the model is learning. If it gets something wrong, it calculates the error and updates its weights so it learns for next time. But inferencing, which is what happens when you actually ping the API, is totally different. There's no learning happening. The model is simply predicting, based on what it already knows.
During this inferencing phase, the model is essentially acting as the world's most advanced autocomplete. It doesn't just instantly generate a whole paragraph, it reads your prompt, guesses just one single next token, adds that new token to your original prompt, and runs the entire massive process all over again just to guess the next one. That real-time typing effect you see on ChatGPT, that's not a fake visual delay. That is literally the model looping in real time until it hits a special end of string marker.
So how exactly does it pick that next word? It uses a math function called softmax to create a probability list of several possible options. When you tweak the temperature setting in your API call, you're actually adjusting this softmax function. A low temperature forces the model to pick the most mathematically obvious word every time, but turn the temperature up and you allow it to occasionally pick slightly less probable tokens, which gives you a much more creative and varied response.
Now that you understand that tokens are the true currency of AI, you know how vocabularies affect your bottom line, and you see how the transformer engine actually works under the hood, you are fully equipped to build smarter, much more cost-effective apps. So, armed with this new perspective, what are you going to build next? Thanks so much for hanging out for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.